Imagine casting your vote in a presidential election, hoping your choice makes a difference, only to find out that the candidate with the most votes isn't always the one who wins. Surprising. This isn't a mistake. It's all by design, a design created centuries ago called the Electoral College. The Electoral College is one of the most defining and sometimes confusing parts of the American electoral process. Today we'll be breaking it down in a way that brings it to life, taking you step by step through how it works, why it exists, and why it has the power to make a single vote in Ohio more influential than thousands voter in California, and why it matters to every single American. By the end of this journey, you'll understand not only the mechanics of the Electoral College, but also why it matters deeply to every single American. Let's dive in and see why this system is at the heart of American democracy. The Electoral College isn't a building or a place. It's a process, a unique system designed to elect the President and Vice President of the United States. At its core, the Electoral College is made up of a group of people known as electors who are chosen by voters. These electors have the responsibility of casting the official votes for the presidency. Instead of voting directly for a presidential candidate, American voters technically cast their ballots for electors who have pledged to support a particular candidate. The electors, then, are like messengers. They take the choice of the people in each state and deliver it in the form of electoral votes. Why does the United States use the Electoral College instead of a simple popular vote? To understand this, we need to go back to the country's founding days. When the Constitution was being written, the Founding Fathers faced a difficult question. How do you create a fair system to elect the leader of a nation that spans vast, diverse regions, each with its own unique interests? On one hand, a popular vote seemed fair, where every citizen's vote would be counted equally, and the candidate with the most votes would win. However, there was concern that states with larger populations would dominate elections, leaving smaller states without a strong voice. After extensive debate, the founders created a compromise, a system that would balance both individual and state representation, the Electoral College. The first piece of the puzzle is understanding how states receive their electoral votes. Each state has a set number of electors, and this number is based on the state's representation in Congress. Every state is assigned electors equal to its total number of senators and representatives. For example, California, the most populous state, has 55 electoral votes, while small states like Wyoming and Vermont have only 3. This allocation means that some states wield significant influence over the election outcome. Large states like California, Texas, and Florida have dozens of electoral votes, making them highly influential. However, every state, no matter its size, is guaranteed at least 3 electoral votes, ensuring that even the smallest states have a say in the process. One of the most distinctive and controversial aspects of the Electoral College is the winner-takes-all rule used by 48 states. In these states, the candidate who wins the majority of the popular vote receives all of the state's electoral votes, regardless of how close the vote margin is. So, even if a candidate wins a state by a single vote, they claim all of its electoral votes. Only 2 states, Maine and Nebraska, deviate from this approach. These states use a proportional method, where they allocate electoral votes based on the results in individual congressional districts. However, this is rare and only accounts for a small number of votes overall. To become president, a candidate must reach a critical threshold, 270 electoral votes. This is the majority of the total 538 electors. If a candidate reaches this number, they win the election, regardless of whether they have the majority of the popular vote across the country. This is why the Electoral College sometimes allows a candidate to win the presidency without winning the most votes nationwide. Because of the winner-takes-all rule, presidential campaigns are heavily focused on states that could go either way, states known as swing states. These include states like Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, which have a history of voting unpredictably. Candidates spend enormous time and resources on these states, knowing that a victory there could secure a large number of electoral votes. This focus on swing states shapes nearly every aspect of a presidential campaign. Candidates schedule events, direct advertisements, and tailor their messages to appeal to voters in these key battlegrounds. By comparison, states that lean strongly toward one party, such as California for Democrats or Texas for Republicans, receive far less attention, as their outcomes are seen as more predictable. In states that are solidly blue or red, some voters may feel their vote doesn't matter as much because the outcome seems certain. For example, a Republican voter in California might feel that their vote won't make a difference in a heavily Democratic state, and a Democrat in Alabama might feel similarly in a strongly Republican state. This can lead to lower voter turnout in these safe states, as voters feel their individual impact is limited by the state's overall leanings. Candidates analyze each state's electoral vote count and assess where they have the best chances of winning or losing. This often results in targeted promises or policy highlights, tailored to appeal to voters in specific swing states. In practice, this means the Electoral College influences not only where candidates campaign, but also the policies they prioritize and the promises they make. The Electoral College has, on 5 occasions, allowed a candidate to win the presidency despite losing the popular vote. The most recent examples include the 2000 and 2016 elections, where the candidates with fewer nationwide votes won by securing the necessary electoral votes. This phenomenon raises a fundamental question. Shouldn't the candidate with the most votes win? To many Americans, this discrepancy feels undemocratic, as it appears to contradict the principle of one person, one vote. This divide between the popular vote and the electoral outcome can leave voters feeling as if their voices weren't fully heard, leading to calls for change. One of the criticisms of the Electoral College is that it creates an imbalance in voter power. In states with smaller populations, each electoral vote represents fewer people, meaning that individual votes in these states carry more weight than those in larger states. For example, a vote in Wyoming has a greater influence on the outcome than a vote in California. This raises questions about fairness and equality, as it appears to give disproportionate influence to voters in less populated states. The unique nature of the Electoral College has led to numerous calls for reform. Some advocates suggest moving to a national popular vote, where every vote counts equally, and the candidate with the most votes wins. Others propose a proportional allocation of electoral votes within each state to more accurately reflect the popular vote. However, changing the Electoral College would require a constitutional amendment, a difficult and complex process that demands broad support. Supporters argue that the Electoral College helps maintain national cohesion by ensuring candidates pay attention to the entire country, not just areas with large populations. They believe the system encourages candidates to consider diverse issues from across the country, promoting a balanced national perspective. Advocates also believe that the Electoral College protects the interests of smaller states. Without it, candidates might focus only on large urban centers, leaving rural and less populated areas feeling neglected. By ensuring every state has a voice, the Electoral College aims to maintain a balanced representation. The Electoral College requires candidates to build a broad coalition of support across different regions. This, proponents argue, prevents a situation where one region or interest group dominates the election. It ensures that a successful candidate appeals to a wide range of Americans, promoting unity over division. Understanding how the Electoral College works is empowering. It equips voters with the knowledge they need to engage more fully in the democratic process and see beyond campaign tactics. When voters understand the impact of each state's electoral vote, they can appreciate the importance of each election and its far-reaching effects. Every vote cast is a chance for citizens to shape the country's future. Even in states where voters feel disillusioned, each vote counts as part of the national narrative. Change may be gradual, but participation in every election ensures that the people's voice is heard, one vote at a time. For those who feel the Electoral College should evolve, understanding its mechanics is the first step toward meaningful advocacy. Knowing how the system impacts each voter can empower Americans not only to vote, but also to participate in discussions on reform and contribute to the evolution of American democracy. The Electoral College is a complex system, but it remains at the heart of how the United States elects its president. Whether you support it or wish to see it changed, understanding its design, purpose, and impact on every election is essential. By embracing this knowledge, we honor the responsibility of every American citizen to vote, to engage, and to strengthen the democracy that shapes the future of the nation. As we come to the end of this journey into the heart of American democracy, let's pause and consider the importance of what we've uncovered. The Electoral College isn't just a technical detail buried in the Constitution. It's a living, breathing part of the democratic process, impacting every voter, every election, and every aspect of American leadership. It's a system that stirred debate, inspired reform movements, and shaped presidential campaigns for over 2 centuries. Whether you're a first-time voter or someone who has cast ballots in many elections, understanding the Electoral College allows you to see the broader picture, the stakes, the strategies, and the importance of every vote. This knowledge empowers you not just as a voter, but as an informed participant in democracy, someone who can critically evaluate candidates, policies, and the very process by which leaders are chosen. It's easy to look at the Electoral College and feel like it's too distant or complex to truly matter in our day-to-day lives. But the truth is, every presidential election has a profound impact on the course of the nation and, by extension, our lives. The leaders chosen through this process make decisions that affect everything, from the economy and healthcare to education, national security, and the environment. When we understand the power of the Electoral College, we recognize that each vote, each state, each decision plays a role in shaping that future. Imagine the strength of a democracy where every citizen not only votes, but also understands the power and implications of that vote. A democracy where voters feel genuinely connected to the process and the outcome, where they understand that their voices matter, not just in local communities, but in shaping national policies that will touch millions of lives. To those who feel frustrated by the Electoral College or believe it should be reformed, remember that democracy is a living institution capable of change. The debates and discussions around the Electoral College are a testament to the strength of American democracy. Advocating for reform, pushing for representation that feels fair and equal, or even simply voting in each election, these are all acts of faith in the democratic process. They remind us that change begins with knowledge, with participation, and with the willingness to engage in the challenges and responsibilities that come with citizenship. Today, you've taken a step toward becoming not just a voter, but a knowledgeable advocate for democracy. When we understand the Electoral College, we gain more than knowledge. We gain insight into the foundational values of representation, balance, and compromise. Whether the system changes in the future or remains as it is, what matters most is that we, as voters, continue to engage, question, and advocate for a system that reflects the voice and values of the people. So, as you cast your next vote, let it be with the full awareness of its weight and significance. Let your vote be an affirmation of your role in the grand tapestry of American democracy, a powerful reminder that each of us has a stake in this shared journey. Our democracy is only as strong as the people who uphold it. Let us be informed, be engaged, and be unafraid to shape a future that reflects the hopes, dreams, and ideals of every American. Thank you for joining this exploration into the Electoral College and for taking this step toward a deeper understanding of the power within your hands. Let's move forward together as a nation that values knowledge, engagement, and the profound impact of every single vote.